Well, good afternoon, everybody. Live from Las Vegas for the Stanley Cup Final. My name is Eddie Olcyzk, and I am the guest host of the ECAC Hockey Coffee with a Coach. And this is apropos because I refer to this gentleman and has for many, many years as coach. But I am here on a special day to welcome my friend Doug Christiansen as the next commissioner. Let me repeat that. The next commissioner of men's and women's hockey for the ECAC. I have known and been connected with the commissioner, I guess I should say, for nearly a decade in many different capacities and have enjoyed calling him coach. But now I think I will defer and refer to him as Commish. And I just want to say, Doug, congratulations. It's great to be with you. And Commish, the floor is all yours.
Thanks so much, Edzo. Really appreciate it. Wouldn't want to do this with anyone else. Obviously, extremely exciting for my family. And for me, it's a tremendous honor. It's a wonderful league. The men and women of the ECAC are some of the best and brightest people in all of North America and throughout the world, and fantastic hockey players. And they obviously Quinnipiac's at the White House today, celebrating their national championship. And so I'm honored and just thrilled to be here with you today. And I appreciate you making time during the Stanley Cup final to speak with us.
No worries. As you know, my three boys all played college hockey. And of course, my brother, Ricky, an alum of Brown University. That's the closest I ever got to any Ivy League school, full disclosure. And he reminds me of that every single time that it happens to come up. And but as I like to tell him, Commish, I like to tell him, I go, well, how many goals did you score at Brown? Exactly the same amount that I scored at college hockey. So we will leave it at that. He's doing for the legendary Ron Francis now as his right-hand man with the Seattle Kraken of the National Hockey League. But I got to ask you, Doug, why choose to come to the ECAC for men's and women's hockey?
Well, obviously, it sounds like your brother had a similar amount of offensive success as I did. So we have something in common. As one of the things I said, I was a healthy scratch in a lot of buildings in the ECAC, so I got to walk all the campuses. I feel like I got the campus tour. But for me, why the ECAC? One, I love the USHL. You and I spent a lot of time with the USHL promoting the college path and really accentuating what benefit it gives to the person and to the player. And the ECAC is no different. It's a special place with some fantastic institutions. You look at the success of the women that they have had. They had 4 teams in the NCAA tournament this year. There are 4 men's teams in the NCAA tournament. Of course, this year, Quinnipiac wins the national championship, but it's the opportunity it provides. Obviously, your brother Ricky is a benefactor of that. He's somebody who's currently an assistant general manager of an NHL team. You look at the landscape of college hockey and where the people have gone, and in terms of the NHL and into other careers, it's really helped grow the college hockey game, which I grew up on in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Going to the University of Wisconsin games is really exciting, and now to be able to go back to the conference of my alma mater is special for me. And my brother played in the ECAC. My wife and my brother-in-law are both Ivy League graduates. So the ties run deep, and it's really exciting time for us.
What can you take from your experience of, being in the, in the ECHL with the Indy Fuel, a minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks, and then your role with the USHL, and now taking the next step to college hockey for men's and women's in the ECAC?
I mean, for me, it's really, I understand the stresses and the things that coaches go through. I understand their day-to-day, and I understand that my job is to provide opportunities for them and to try to help and grow the opportunities for their student athletes and for them. And hopefully that provides outstanding competition. We're fair and we're diligent in terms of player safety and all the things, and we have good communication that come along with that. And at the same token, provide outstanding championships for our players as they're working their way towards the NCAA tournament, trying to win a national championship. That's an area that Lake Placid is a special place for the men, and I think for the women, it's really about growing and finding their best possible opportunity to showcase where they are going to be able to have a champion and that hopefully can go on and win a national championship. And so for me personally, it's really about taking the coaching experience, understanding their day-to-day grind, and then from an USHL point of view, the ECAC has so many similarities to when I was first in the USHL. When you and I met back in 2014-15, it was really just about celebrating who we are, but also telling our story and being proud of our story, and being able to say, you can be a first-round NHL draft pick every opportunity that you want in front of you, not only for the next 4 or 5 years, but for the next 40 years. And I think that part for me is really special. And it's obviously been something that's attracted some of the top women and some of the top men in the world. And we are excited to be able to continue to do that.
Yeah, I mean, college hockey, and again, knowing, obviously I mentioned my brother, and then having, 3 boys, and then I have a daughter who was not into hockey, but she ended up going down to school at Alabama. And the understanding is that, we're talking hockey in the ECAC for men and women. But Commish, I think the importance of being a parent of a student athlete, the importance of developmental skills, not only inside the rink and inside the locker room, but more so in the classroom. And I would even think, and this is just my opinion, in society, right? Because the world that we're living in now is all texting and emailing, and the one-on-one relationship seems to kind of just maybe gone to the back burner. Again, outside observation and a professional, and then also as a father. But what are your feelings on how important that is for when you have student athletes that have choices, of how important that is for you of being a commissioner for the ECAC and in the landscape of developing these young men and women when they come in, out of high school, or maybe they're in the USHL for a year or two and they're coming in as 19 or 20-year-olds.
I think that the one thing that I know about you, and I think everybody who knows you knows how much family is at the center of everything you do. And I think that, to me, it's not that dissimilar for me. I have 2 really young children, so we're working our way there. With 3 but to me, you look at your family and you say, what do I want for my children? And what I want for my children is to give them the best opportunity they possibly can have to succeed. And ECAC, and not just ECAC schools, college hockey can do it, but ECAC schools are special. The academic opportunities that are there, the lifetime opportunities, the size of the campus. It's got diversity in terms of sizes of cities. You want to be in a rural area, you can be in a rural area. You want to be in a large area, you can be in a large area. All of the things that you want to be able to have. And there's something for everybody there. And then what you take with you and you move on. I mean, you look at the head of the NHL, Gary Bettman's a Cornell graduate, Bill Daly, Dartmouth, George Peros and Kevin Westgarth, who are VPs, they're Princeton grads. I mean, it's 4 people in the ECAC right there.
And a couple of tough guys, by the way. I just want to add in those guys.
I'd like to think that Gary Bettman and Bill Daly, I don't have to worry about very much when they're out with those guys. So they probably don't need any security.
I should say all 4 are very tough guys, but the 2 guys from Princeton, very tough, by the way.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. And so to me, you look at the opportunities that are out there, and then now for women, I mean, you see Jessica Campbell, who's now in the Calder Cup final in the American League as an assistant coach. She's a Cornell graduate. And so the conference is special. College hockey is special. I mean, you know that from your 3 sons playing UMass and Penn State and Colorado College. It's a path that teaches you life lessons. And as a father myself, I love what the conference does for people. And I genuinely believe that the best players in the country have opportunities to come to the league and accomplish whatever goal that they want as a hockey player, men and women. And at the same token, the next 40 years of their life, they could be in a really exciting spot as a result of the education and the people that they meet. on campus who might not just be athletes, it might be somebody that they have in class with them, and that those conversations might change their life.
Yeah. I want to ask you specifically about, women's hockey. The ECAC had 25 representatives playing in the World Championships, this year. What does that say for the growth of women's hockey in the ECAC and, where they are right now and in the steps moving forward for women's hockey in your conference?
Well, I think it shows that, not only that, but 25 of them are from USA and Canada. So those are the two best countries in the world. So the best players in the world are coming to the ECAC hockey to be able to play and get their education and then go on and represent the country, either while they're in school or after they've graduated. So to me, I believe that the ECAC Women's Conference is the best in the country. They've won 3 of the last 10 national championships, and they're attracting the best in person. You and I are both Americans. Unfortunately, 17 of the 21 were Canadians, so we got to bump up the American numbers a little bit. But nonetheless, it's really great to see how women from around the world are coming to the ECAC to be able to get their education and to be able to fulfill their hockey opportunities. And that's something we're going to continue to grow. And, one thing that I did find really interesting is, both men and women had the #1 team in the country at one point in time this past season within the conference. And so those aspirations to win national championships are realistic and something that hopefully we'll be able to continue to do on a regular basis.
You couldn't pull any rabbits out of the hat there to get to the White House with Quinnipiac, or what? What's going on?
No, listen, I was waiting for the invite. I was with Rand over the weekend in Denver. I could only stand around him for so long, and he didn't get the gist. No, jokes aside, I mean, what an opportunity for the athletes and the student athletes to be able to go to the White House. To have that experience, that's something that is so rare, and they'll have that for the rest of their life. And so good for them. And, maybe next time we'll get the invitation and you can come along too. And maybe we'll just be on the outside of the gate looking in, but nonetheless, maybe we'll find a nice place to have dinner.
Yeah. I do want to ask you about on the men's side, because the young athletes that are pursuing hockey and whatever the end game is for everybody's different. The competition is plenty, not only at the college hockey level, Commish, but also, the opportunities to, maybe bypass going to college and try to go play in north of the border up in one of the major junior hockey leagues. When you've battled that when you were in the USHL and you've seen it your whole life. With every situation has its pros and has its cons. If I was somebody, coming into your office and wanting to know about the strengths and the opportunities that are presented before for me or for my son or whoever it might be, the choices that are going to be out there, is always letting them know that, hey, there's different ways to get to the National Hockey League. I get that question a lot of, what's the fastest way? Well, first off, what's the fastest way you're going to develop? That should be the first question. So I guess long-winded, when you hear about the competition and the different leagues that there are, how would you sell your league and from your experience of being in pro hockey and working with some of the, some really important pieces that are playing in the Stanley Cup final or being a part of the Stanley Cup final, which I'll get to in a second, but then also to know that you can get the best of both worlds of coming to the ECAC?
Well, I think a couple things. First of all, the fastest way is to kind of do what you did, which is to play with Pat LaFontaine on the diaper line in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And to have a lot of success. That might be the fastest way. But jokes aside, listen, Major Junior does a nice job. I mean, there's no question that they've developed some players, lots of players over the course of time. But the USHL numbers, and then by extension, the college hockey numbers have fundamentally changed the landscape of college hockey. And the ECAC has been a benefactor of that, just like everybody else. But basically, a third of the NHL right now is NHL, are college hockey players. And that was never the case when you and I were coming up. And
Right.
that's totally different. And so to me, I look at, you can look at Jack Eichel and you can look at Connor McDavid. For the people who don't know, they went 1-2 in the same draft. Had Connor McDavid played college hockey, they would have been drafted in the same order, and they both would have been star players. And had Jack Eichel played in Erie, they both would have been the same. And to me, the part is, whether you're a first-round NHL draft pick or whether you're going to be undrafted and you're trying to chart a different path to the NHL, what you're really trying to do is to give yourself the best opportunity to develop. And I think the piece that has to do with college hockey is you choose your entry point. If you play major junior, you have 2 years after you're drafted and you're 20 years old and you have to matriculate. If you are a college player, you have 4 years to develop. You're developing as a person. You're developing as a player. You're getting bigger. You're getting stronger. And there's factors that are on the outside of it. And what I mean by that is, is the NHL organization that drafts you, are they in a rebuild, or are they trying to win it? Do they have space for you as a forward or as a defenseman? Who else is there? And you get to choose your entry point. And you really are starting to see agents and advisors embrace that, because it gives more leverage and more opportunity to their clients. As it pertains to the ECAC, listen, there's lots of great programs. We're not going to sit here and say that other places are bad. But what we're going to say is that what the ECAC provides is all of those opportunities and the opportunities for the next 40 years. And you're going to have outstanding coaching. You're going to get the resources that you need on and off the ice to be successful. You're going to be pushed in different ways in the classroom, which will develop you as a person. And then last but not least is, if you're good enough to play in the National Hockey League after your junior year, sophomore year, I don't see any of the coaches that'll say, hey, don't go, come back. They'll say, go, embrace that, come back, finish your degree at whatever ECAC hockey school you're at, and finish what you started. And I think that that's the benefit of the ECAC, is that holistic approach that we talked about before, that it's not just the next 4 years, it's the next 40 years of your life. And hopefully those years include the National Hockey League. And I feel very comfortable that our teams are going to be able to benefit from that. And for the women's side, same exact thing. The opportunity to play on the international stage, as we've already talked about, and be able to get a world-class education as the women develop and move on to the next phases of their life, whether that's the PHF or whatever else the next stage is going to be.
Yeah. Well, one more question, and then we'll wrap it up. But I want to ask you, and maybe just think of this. So, all due respect, this is off the cuff. I had my son Tommy, who played at Penn State. He went into Penn State as a 19 turning 20. My son Eddie went to UMass. He was 19. My son Nick was 19 turning 20. Do you see, are we going to get to a point where I don't want to say age restrictions on, starting, the clock, so to speak, starts at a certain age, because that's the one thing I do hear a lot of people. We had this conversation, I remember a long time ago, just about the USHL. Is it too old of a league? Is college hockey getting too old in a lot of situations? Like, what would be your thoughts on, older players coming in and playing until they're, I guess, probably 24?
Sure. I've got two anecdotal pieces for that. One is going back to my alma mater in 2014 with Union College winning a national championship against Minnesota. Union was a little bit older. Obviously, they had Shane Gostisbehere, who's still a high-level NHL player.
Sure. Yeah.
And Minnesota was a bit younger, and they had high-end players who were just a little bit younger, who might have been their ceiling might have been higher, but where they intersected at that point in their careers, where they were still playing college hockey, it not only leveled the playing field, but allowed Union College to be able to win a national championship. And I think that is a really important thing for college hockey. The second piece, and this is very anecdotal for myself, I was a good high school student. I wasn't a great high school student. I was a good high school student. What I needed to do as a human being is I needed to grow up a little bit.
Right.
And those 2 years away from home, playing junior in Green Bay, allowed me to grow up, so that when I went to college, I was more experienced in life. I'd moved away from home. I'd made a couple mistakes probably when I was playing junior, and that allowed me to just be better as a student, as a teammate, as a hockey player, as all those things. And so sometimes I think that time, although we look at it through the prism of it being a negative, I actually think that it helps to bring more mature people to campus who add more value to campus, and in the long run are just as successful, if not more so, because of that time in between. So I understand the rationale of being younger, but I do think that it can cut both ways. And so for me personally, it was really good. For somebody else, it might not be, but I think that college hockey and the parity that you have right now is really good. And part of that is the fact that you do have a difference between some of the teams and how they're constructed.
Any truth to the rumor that the ECAC is looking for a player that did not play any college hockey, still has college hockey eligibility, happens to be over 55 years of age, approaching 57, is a grandfather as well, and scored a few goals in the National Hockey League. Is there any room, you think there's any room at any ECAC school that would have any intentions on I don't know, just like a make-believe player like that?
A make-believe player like that who probably had 80-plus points in the NHL. Maybe. Although I did see your last, what do they call it? The last shift?
Yeah.
You did the last shift at the Hawks?
Yeah. Not a lot of speed. Not a lot of speed.
I was just going to say, sure. you might have to work on some of those delays and cutbacks in the offensive zone to buy yourself a little time. But, my guess is the brain's still there.
Yeah. Oh, the brain's there. Yeah. The legs, the money makers are not. And as I say to people every once in a while, Commish, I go, I could probably go out there and win a face-off, but other than that, I'd have to go right back to the bench. So
that's all right. You don't have to do a VO2 test for that, which is half the battle.
Yeah, and no off-ice testing for those old guys like me. So
me neither.
This has been awesome, and I appreciate being allowed to be the host. And I wish you the best of luck. But I do want to say, as I said, I'm in Las Vegas, getting ready for Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. You do have, you've had some run-ins with a couple of people very much involved in this, in the Stanley Cup Final. Of course, Bill Zito, you went to the same high school as Bill. And of course, he's the general manager of the Florida Panthers. And he's also an alum of Yale. And you also spent a little time with Butchie, my former teammate, Bruce Cassidy, who's the head coach of the VGK. And when you were at Bruins development camp. So I know you're thinking very positively for both those gentlemen that have obviously a lot on the line in the Stanley Cup Final.
A lot on the line. Good for them. It's just one of the things that I really enjoy, and I know you feel this way. It's just really good when you see people you really like having great success. And those two people are having a fantastic moment. Selfishly, I want 7 games. I'm sure you'd like to be able to get home to your family at some point. Since I'm not traveling cross country, I'd love to see 7 games and see Florida win tomorrow and extend it a little bit so that I can watch a little bit more great hockey. But it's great to see them doing so well. And obviously I've got my university school flag just above me here. So hopefully Bill and his group can win tomorrow, and we'll see how it plays out the rest of the way. But I couldn't be more appreciative of your time. I know you're in Vegas. I know you're busy. And so thank you again for taking the time.
Well, congratulations. I wish you the best of luck to you and your family. And I'll look forward to, if I get to that part of the world over the course of the hockey season, I'd like to stop in if you're in town, and we can have a little lunch or dinner before a game and check out a ECAC hockey game, men or women. And I just wanted to wish you the best of luck. And you've always been gracious with me and my family. And it's great to see, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, it's great to see great things happen to great people. And our game, when I say our game, the game of hockey, we like to think that we have the very best game in the world, college level, pro level, but I'd like to think we have some of the best people, and you're certainly in that team picture. So Commish, no more coach, it's Commish moving forward. I wish you the best.
Thanks
of
so
luck,
much.
and,
I appreciate it. And I will say that
I appreciate it.
You're going to have to make sure that Nick picks up the check, because now your son, for those who don't know, he got his first Emmy over the weekend. And so we'll have to have him pick up the check when we have dinner when you come out east with Seattle. So congratulations to you.
Well, hey, look, when you go on Amazon, you can get anything off of Amazon. So I'll just leave it at that. So see you, Commish. Congratulations.
All right. Thanks again, Edzo. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too.